Hi, everybody. I'm Jason Tucker, co-chair of Console Room 2022.
And I'm Amber Raden, also co-chair of Console Room.
And we want to thank all of you for
Amber.
tuning in today to listen to us talk about and answer questions about our upcoming convention in just about 6 months from now. It certainly doesn't feel like it's that close, but it will. Right. It'll be coming up fast.
Right.
Yeah. Go ahead, Amber.
Yeah. Oh, if you have any questions as we're going through, please feel free to write your questions in the YouTube chat, and we'll keep an eye out for that. So if you have any questions, we can answer those as we go.
So, you know, we've all been kind of trying to figure out our path forward through the changing landscape, ever-changing landscape of conventions and group events and everything. And you know, we are working to make our event our first back in-person event after a very successful virtual convention in 2021. We're doing our best to make sure that our 2022 in-person event, I should say hybrid event, because we're going to have both in-person and a virtual component, is as safe as possible for all of our attendees and guests and staff and everyone involved. So we thank you for your understanding in some of the changes that we've had to introduce, and we'll talk a little bit about some of those tonight.
Yeah, so I'll start with maybe a kind of an overview of what we're looking at for our 9th year of Console Room. I can't believe we've already hit 9 years. Yeah. So if you haven't seen the dates yet, it is going to be January 21st through 23rd in 2022. That's a lot of twos. So that is a Friday through Sunday, 3-day convention again. Our theme this year is Satellite 9, so it's a nod a little bit to the Satellite 5 that shows up in the 9th and 10th Doctors, maybe it's just 9th, Doctor Adventures, but Satellite 9 because it's our 9th year, and it's we chose it a little bit because of we're going into this hybrid format, so a little bit in person, a little bit broadcasting to everybody else. So Satellite 9 is our theme. I want to talk a little bit about the January dates because we are in Minnesota, and this is something that people ask us all the time is why we're in January, and there's a lot of reasons why we're in January. One big one I think is that there aren't a lot of conventions in January. A lot of the conventions tend to be over the summer. A lot of events in general tend to be over the summer. You know, we have been historically in May and June-ish. So, you know, we're running into graduation, we're running into convention season, like really starting up by then, really throughout, you know, June, July, August, September, I think is kind of peak con season. So it's a nice way to have, I think, a little bit of relief in the middle of winter, to do something really fun with people who are passionate about the same kinds of things. I'm gonna pause and let Jason jump in if you want.
Well, and keep going. Ultimately, because of how many events are in May and June, hotel availability gets very much at a premium. So at the end of the day, one of the biggest motivating factors for us moving to January is that it was a lot more affordable for a convention our size to obtain the hotel at a much more reasonable rate than what we were getting in June or in May. And I mean, if we had continued to stay in May without a much larger attendance base, we there's no way we would have been able to continue. So moving to January meant that the con was able to continue, even though it does make it harder. Sorry. I don't know if that blacked me out for a second. Just got a phone call.
No worries.
But I don't know if I lost my train of thought. So in order to keep going, the move to January was something that we not only had to do, but it also worked out really well for us for the past several years. We had one year when the weather was unbelievably, unseasonably warm and great, and we had a year when we had a snowstorm. But for anyone who has also attended Chicago Tardis over Thanksgiving, we're not exactly unfamiliar with snowstorms driving to and from Chicago. Right.
I think the thing I think about, because I think snow gets brought up a lot when we talk about January, which is it's January in Minnesota. It's a real possibility. But I think the thing in my mind that I think about when we think about snow is that we could have inclement weather at any point in the year. It might not be snow. It could be hail. It could be a thunderstorm. It could be a tornado. It could be anything. So I think that's just a piece of the weather that I think, particularly in Minnesota, like we've gotten used to. But this is a thing that happens, and we keep that in mind, when we plan it. So it's also a good reason to stay at the hotel too. The year when we had the snowstorm in particular, you almost forgot that there was a snowstorm when you stay in the hotel, because you have all these activities and people that you're getting to chat with and hang out with throughout, and it's warm in the hotel. You don't have to deal with the snow. So I almost forgot until we had to leave on Sunday, and then there was ice outside.
And remember, the hotel does have a pool and hot tub.
It does, yeah. Sort of like a midwinter escape, I think, to another world. I'll
Indeed.
Stop.
Our own
corny.
It's our own private TARDIS.
Right. I think that's everything I had about the dates. Is there anything else about that you're thinking of in January?
So our first couple of January conventions, I believe we were over Martin Luther King Day weekend, which also worked well because a lot of people had the Monday afterwards off. This next year we are not. We're the following weekend, and that's simply due to hotel contracts. Many organizations, many groups book out hotels unbelievably far in advance. You'll say, I want to get this date 5 years from now, and the hotel will say, oh, we already have that booked for somebody. And you're just like, 5 years from now? But that's the case. And especially with groups like ours that has an event year after year, they will frequently book out many years in advance for various reasons. So for 2022, we were not able to get Martin Luther King Day weekend. So if anyone was wondering, that is why we moved. And, it's the same reason why a certain other convention is not over 4th of July weekend this year.
Right. All right. I'm going to move on to registration, and I think the COVID requirements that we've been talking about in conjunction with that. I think those two are really connected. So as Jason mentioned, we are going to be a hybrid convention this year, which I think is really exciting. I'm really looking forward to that. I as Jason said too, I think our 2021 virtual convention was hugely successful. Thank you to everybody who did attend virtually. I know it's a different experience, but I think that there was a lot of really good things that came out of that. It was a really, really energized weekend virtually. I know I really enjoyed my time. I hope all of you did too. So thank you all So we do want to move into a hybrid format this year. Part of that is because of COVID. Not everybody, and we totally understand that not everybody is going to want to be in person this year, or is not able to be in person. Part of that's because we are a community that is larger than Minnesota. So we want to give people an opportunity to be able to attend, even if they can't be here in person. So there's a lot of reasons that we decided to go hybrid, and sort of pioneer what this looks like a little bit, which I am really excited about to be looking at, you know, what is the future of conventions going to be, and what can it be, and what can we do to help support the community, which is really the heart of everything that we do with Console Room. So with registration, because we're going to be hybrid, we do have two different options. Well, it's more than the kind of two different options, but if you break it down to in-person and virtual, we do have in-person and virtual options. So in-person is kind of what you've come to expect if you've been here in person. We do have full weekend badges. We do have VIP options. And then we have day passes. So there are a couple options if you're coming in person. Virtual, we have two different options that are fully virtual. So these are CyberMight and CyberMan are the two virtual options. I know we don't have a lot of information on the website yet about what these two options are going to be. Part of that's because we're still figuring it out. So we're going to have more information for you. But I think we could share a little bit about the kinds of things that we've been thinking of in regards to what the CyberMight and CyberMan ticket options will include, or might include, or I mean, let's at least give some insight into the discussions that we've been having. So I think the main point with the virtual tickets, regardless of what it ends up being, I think the main thing that we're aiming for is that it's not an afterthought. We don't want to be so focused on the in-person convention that the virtual convention is just a couple things. We are working to make sure that these are very connected experiences, and they're both fully supported, and that they're both fulfilling kinds of options, whether you're in person or virtual, that you're still feeling like you're getting some value from this experience, and that you're feeling connected to the larger community, and that we have people in person who are connecting to people virtually, and kind of vice versa. So it is intended to be a larger ecosystem, not just here's a couple things that we're doing virtually, but mostly in person. So it isn't going to be an afterthought. That's something that has been really important while we've been talking about what is included there. The CyberMight options are the free options. So anybody is able to join Console Room, at least at a CyberMight level. And so that's going to be, we are going to have some virtual content, but it is going to be a little bit limited. And then CyberMan is a more expanded option. So some of the things that we're thinking about, maybe I'll pause and let you go, Jason. I feel like I've been doing a lot of talking.
Well, in terms of virtual type of things, one of the things that we introduced in 2021, which will be carrying on to 2022, and it actually is still active and available for people to participate in, is our Discord server. And in fact, you know, I think, I don't know if there's a registration process for Discord on our website, but
when you register for a ticket, you'll be able to access Discord then. Okay.
So, you know, we don't even have to wait for the convention for people to start participating with other Console Room attendees and fans, and start celebrating Doctor Who on our Discord server.
Right. Yeah, so we're gonna have we'll have ways then through Discord for everyone to be connected. We have talked about things that may be exclusive to Discord. If you are in person, one thing I should mention too, if you have an in-person ticket, you'll still have access to the virtual ticket. It depends a little bit on what ticket you have. So if you have a full weekend pass, you'll have CyberMan access, to the virtual content. If you have a day pass, you'll have cyber mite access to the digital content. Again, we're going to have more specifics about what that means later on. Some of the other things that we've been considering, we are talking about virtual panels, some that might be pre-recorded, some that might be airing live from the in-person part of the con. Which specific topics are going to be available virtually is something, and how many is something that we're considering, but we are looking at panels. We are looking at having guests from the show or have worked with Doctor Who, potentially on these different levels. A lot of that is still being worked through, so there's not a whole lot that we can say yet about it, but it's something that we're considering. So we are trying to make sure that you have access to some of the people you might not have otherwise while you're virtually attending. We're looking at things like some of our special activities. Like I think our escape room has been super popular, for example. So we're talking about how can we maybe include that as part of an experience. None of this has been finalized. So I do want to be clear that a lot of these are things that we are thinking about and things that we're talking about. So we do want to have like some special activities like the escape room kinds of things may be available. None of that's been finalized yet. So as we're kind of finalizing what a hybrid convention looks like, we will have those kinds of things and more details about that. But those are the kinds of things that we're thinking about. Ultimately, it goes back to wanting to make sure that you're having a full experience, virtually and in person, in both places. Was there anything I'm missing on kind of the things that we're thinking about virtually? I mean, a lot of it's still being figured out. So we don't, as it says on the website, like we're going to have more details later. I think the main takeaway that I want to make sure that everybody who's learning about Console Room or isn't sure what a hybrid convention is going to look like, I think the main takeaway is that we are not trying to just like throw you a bone by having something virtual. We are trying to have this be a very, very connected in-person and virtual ecosystem. That's I think the main takeaway that we'd want you to take away from us talking about that. In-person registration. So I think the big thing that we wanted to touch on about in-person registration, if you had not yet seen on the website as well, is that for in-person attendees, we are requiring vaccinations at this time. So that means a couple things. It means that at this time, because vaccinations aren't yet available, that children under 12 years old will not be able to attend in person. I know that there's a possibility that some of the vaccinations might be going through sooner than later. I'm not, everything's moving, day to day.
I just want to interrupt real quick, Amber. The way you phrased it, saying at this time we're requiring vaccinations for everyone. I just want to kind of slightly rephrase that, saying we will be requiring vaccinations for everyone. At this time, that means that not everyone may be able to attend, but we are not going to be changing the policy of requiring vaccinations. I would say that it would be very unlikely that we would not require vaccinations. So, sorry, I didn't mean to just.
It's a good point.
At this time, I want to make sure that people understood that is very unlikely to change. What is likely to change is who will have access to vaccinations.
Right.
By the time the convention rolls around.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. We were just talking about right before this how important words are. It is a really good point. So, I mean, our main goal with this convention is to make sure that everyone, that we're able to help support this community and support the convention and ensure the longevity of the community and the convention and everybody who's attending virtually and in person. So ultimately, vaccinations, I think, are the safest way to do that. That's the safest way that we're able to make sure as much as possible that everybody who is attending in person is able to stay as safe as possible. We are also requiring masks. Same reason, we're trying to make this as safe an environment as possible. And we are not the only people in the hotel. There are other people that use the hotel. There's going to be guests who might be traveling that might be using the hotel. So we're keeping all of this in mind. We're continuing to check the guidance from global leaders, the WHO, CDC, state leaders, and things like that, and making sure that we're making this as safe and comfortable an experience as possible, and still ensuring the health and longevity of our attendees and the convention and the community. So that's ultimately, I think, kind of the reasoning behind that, but also important to note that is something that we're requiring this year. Am I missing anything on that point, you think, or anything you wanted to add?
I think so.
Thank you, Sebastian. I appreciate your comment. I'm going to read that for anyone who's watching this afterwards, because I guess I don't know for sure if the comments stay afterwards, but as someone who will be unable to attend the convention in person, I really appreciate your efforts to develop a virtual experience. I'm looking forward to attending. We're looking forward to you attending. That's a big part of why we wanted to make sure that there were virtual options. Console Room is so much about community. Everything that we're doing is about community and bringing the community together. And I think this is really the best way to make sure that we can all be together, even if it's not necessarily in person. So good. I'm glad that's helpful.
This is not exactly related to Console Room, but I've been participating in a number of book clubs over the summer, and one of these book clubs is in Washington, D.C., and in September, they're going to go back to in-person events, and they won't be having a Zoom component. And so all of these friends that I've made at this book club, I'm not going to be able to keep going to the book club with them. So, just in terms of what you're talking about with having the virtual component, I really do hope that more organizations, more events do really explore this hybrid model, because it really is a way, it's one thing to travel across country for a convention. I do it for Chicago Tardis, I do it for Gallifrey. I'm not going to do it for a monthly book club. Any way we can make things so that we can have people who, for whatever reason, can't travel to us to participate virtually. I'm really glad that we are doing our very best to make sure that that's, again, as you say, we're not throwing a bone, we're actually making it a vital part of the experience.
Exactly. I think a little bit about also what to expect, because we are keeping safety top of mind too. We've talked a little bit about what we're thinking about virtual versus in person. I do want to say that for if you are attending in person, you should expect similar experiences to what you've had in the past. So with maybe some small modifications to make sure that it's as safe as possible. So we're still planning to include a video room. We're still planning to include our con suite, which I know has been lauded multiple times, which is great. So if you're unfamiliar with what a con suite is, and I know it's not at every convention, but the con suite is sort of a place to relax and chat with a few people and grab a bite to eat, maybe get some coffee. There's usually some kinds of refreshments, both food and beverage there, and just relax and talk with other Whovians. So it's a very chill, relaxing area, I think, but that also includes food. So we are looking at how we can have, you know, con suite and still have that be a safe experience for everyone. We are looking at evening activities again, and what those might be. I know karaoke has been super popular in the past, and the dance has been super popular in the past. Those are some of the activities that we've done before. So we are looking at having some activities later in the evening, which I know have been important for a few people. We're looking at having an artist alley and dealer's room. Again, in person. We are looking at how we can maybe include virtual components to that. So that's still very much in the works, but you know, having your vendors in person again, we are looking at having that and an art show as well in person. We would be so we do, if you have been to our con before, we do have a charity auction for GPS, a Geek Partnership Society. So that's something that we would be looking at having again this year. If you're not in Minnesota and you're less familiar with the Geek Partnership Society, it is a super great organization here in the Twin Cities area in Minnesota that helps support the geek community here. They do a lot of really great work. So the charity auction helps support them to keep doing all of the great work that they do to help support the larger community. So super great organization we've been partnering with since the beginning, I think.
Yeah.
Is that accurate? Okay. So looking at having them back again so that we can help support them, because again, we are all about community, and that is a big part of our community. So you know, I think I always miss things when I go through the things that you can expect to have at the convention. But I think one of the things that we do really well is coming up with unique experiences that you might not normally expect at a convention. The escape room, I think, is a really good example of that. But we've also had like I don't remember what we called it. We had like a beach space. I don't know if you remember what we called that. It was very clever, and I can't remember. But I'm sorry, Kelly and Marissa.
it was like a just like I don't want to say Zen room, but a place to, you know, kind of relax from programming, and we had it all designed as like a tropical getaway in the middle of winter.
Yeah, I can't. I think we had like lounge chairs and things too. Like it was very relaxing. I can't remember. It was a very clever name, and I'm not going to remember it now, and I apologize. But we do focus very much on bringing some of these unique experiences that you would never expect at a convention, or maybe at a convention of our size, and make it a really unique, really immersive experience. So I think you can expect a lot of those same things this year, or in 2022. I guess it's not technically this year, next year, when we join again in person and virtually. Anything else you wanted to add there, Jason?
We're gonna try and have a live performance, I believe. We want to talk about that. Are we holding off on that? Stage.
Yeah. So we have done some live productions in the past, live play performances in the past. So that is something that we're looking at again this year. That's what you were referring to, right?
Yep.
We're looking at you know, we started this. This is a Who It Yourself live event. We've been using the hashtag Who It Yourself, kind of like a do it yourself thing. So that's a campaign that we started back in 2017, I think, actually.
Sounds about right.
It just feels so far away ago now. That was intended to help celebrate all of the cool things that this community does, because the Doctor Who community is incredibly creative. So we are looking at having a little video contest again this year. So we'll have some more details about that soon, I think. Lots of cool ways to be able to. So I haven't even brought up the masquerade, the costume competition. We do have a kind of a two-part costume competition every year typically. So there's usually a masquerade-esque kind of performance that's on our main stage, and then we have a hall costume contest that kind of goes alongside that. So there's a lot more information coming about all of these. Hopefully that gives you a little bit of a taste of kind of what to expect in person, maybe a little bit of a taste of what to expect virtually. And we will have way more information coming down the road, but ultimately in person, you should expect a similar experience to what you've had before, with some new things like we always do that are kind of special to us. And virtually, you should expect that it is included and very much a part of the larger experience. I think that's everything that I have as far as an overview of what to expect.
If anyone listening now or in the future is interested in helping us run this thing, we are always looking for people to get involved as part of our convention committee, as part of our convention staff, both at the convention as a volunteer on site and throughout the rest of the year, helping us plan Do It Yourself live events. We're looking for some Discord moderators who, if you already hang out on a bunch of Discord channels and you want to hang out on ours and help moderate and kind of help, I don't want to say increase traffic or drive traffic, because I don't really think that's what Discord is, but help, keep the conversation going on Discord.
Yeah.
We
engage with the community.
We'd love to have your help in those regards, and you can find contact information on how to get involved on our website. That's still up there on the website, right, Amber?
Yeah. I think the one thing I want to add to that, because I think if you haven't been involved in planning a convention before, it feels, I shouldn't say I think, because I know, because I've been there. I know that it can feel like you're dealing with some imposter syndrome, maybe a little bit, like you're not sure if this is something that you would be able to do. And I want to say that even if you haven't been on a convention committee before, helping put together Console Room is an amazing experience. I'm a little bit biased now that I'm co-chair, but this community and really hats off to Jason for starting all of this and getting it started as the founder and continuing to keep everyone together. The convention committee is full of so many amazing people that I wouldn't have met without joining the convention committee, that are now really important parts of my life, and they're just an amazing group of people. And I know that when I started on ConCom, I think between the first and second years, I was positive when I reached out and was interested that there was no way that y'all were going to let me join this ConCom when I didn't have like a whole lot of experience. I had some experience in graphic design and those kinds of things, but not, I've definitely never done, an event of this size. It was just something I was really interested in. And I attended the first Console Room in person, which was one of my first convention experiences ever. And I loved it. And it was, I was just so sure that all of you were going to say that the convention committee was going to be like, why are you need to, know what you're doing or something like that, which is not the case at all. Everybody on this convention committee is amazing. It has been such a fulfilling experience for me. And I have learned so much and made so many new friends through doing this. It is, I cannot recommend. I don't want to, pretend I'm not like co-chair at all. Even if I wasn't involved with the convention committee at all, I still would not be able to highly recommend this enough. It is such a good experience. So I'll stop gushing about it, but like it really is. If you are at all on the fence, please do join it, and give it a shot. And even if you're not sure like what kind of department you might be interested in, we can talk through that and figure that out with you. So it is 110% worth every second of time put into it. And that's all I got to say about that. I think.
One of the things that brings me unbelievable joy all the time is when I am on social media and I see someone post something, and the people who like and comment those posts, and I know that they know each other because of Console Room. I can't describe how much joy that brings me, that I know that those two people met each other at Console Room. So yeah, that is really what these conventions are about. You know, I'm not gonna rant, but for me, conventions are not about autographs. They're not about merchandise. They are about meeting people and making friends. I attended my first, my first convention was the Doctor Who convention in 1985 or 86 when I was still in high school. But my first convention as an adult was a Minicon in 1991. And some of the friends that I made at that convention in 1991, I am still very good friends with today. And, if we didn't have that convention connection, I don't know that I would be. And that was before Facebook.
Like, I feel like that goes back to when we talk about community, like we're not just talking about community because it's like the thing to talk about or something. Like it really is a huge part of why this convention exists, and how we direct kind of the things that we're focusing on and stuff. It is very, very, very much about the community. That is so important. It's why, not to put words in your mouth, but I guess you kind of said, like, it's why this was created, was so that we can, connect as a community. So it
Absolutely.
is.
And I mean, it's the same with all of the conventions I go to. I make new friends every year at conventions, and it's easier to stay in touch with them now throughout the year. But I've heard people describe that the time when a new convention, or I should say, when you go back to the convention the following year, it's like going back to camp. And I don't know how many people went to summer camp, but knowing that, okay, these really good friends I had these great experiences with a year ago, now I get to have new experiences with those friends I haven't seen in a year. And that is what it's like. So if you haven't ever attended a convention, we really do hope that you make Console Room your first one.
Yeah. Can I go back to so you had one point, which we haven't actually talked about yet today. You mentioned about what you think that the conventions are about, and it's not necessarily about the guests. And I wanted to go back to that.
I said about autographs and merchandise.
Well, but I want to go back to that because I think one of the things. What was that?
And that's to me. To me, they're not about autographs.
What I wanted to go back to, because I think when people think about conventions, is the autographs and meeting guest actors and things that you wouldn't normally get to meet. Like if you go to like the big conventions and stuff, that is, it's fun. I mean, I've done that too at other conventions. I've done it at Console Room too. But I think one of the things that we don't talk about all that much, and I don't know that you would expect unless you've actually been to Console Room before, is I think one of the things, because of the size of the convention, one of the things, because we are a little bit smaller, looking to grow a little bit, but a little bit smaller, is that the experience with the guests that we do bring in is very different from the experience that you would get at a larger convention. It is very normal to be sitting at the bar at the hotel or in the con suite or something, and the guests come up and you just have a conversation with them. And I love that. I also go to the large conventions and I will pay for an autograph and stuff, because sometimes like that's what I want to be able to do. But like being able to like sit and talk with the actors and the writers and that are coming to visit and just have a regular conversation with them about their work and just as people is amazing. It's a really, really great experience. I don't think we talk about that. That's what I wanted to go back to was, you know, if you love autographs and stuff too, like I love that stuff too. But I think one of the things that we just don't talk about all that much is that you do tend to get some more interaction with the guests that you might not get elsewhere.
Who we had that have hung out in con suite with us? We've had Colin Baker hang out in con suite with us. We've
Gareth
had
David Lloyd did.
Gareth David Lloyd hang out in con suite. Yanto for people who don't recognize the name. So yeah, and really at Katie Manny, the bigger conventions, you don't have the guests of honor. They're kind of, I don't want to say sequestered, but you know, their handlers pretty much when they're done, they shuttle them off stage, and you don't really see them just around the convention. And I think we have yet to have a guest that have just kind of stayed in the room rather than really mingling with everybody.
Right. Yeah. It's a really awesome experience. I think it's just that was the one point I wanted to bring up because I don't think we talk about it enough. Is there anything else that we've gone through quite a few things about what to expect in person, virtually, how we're doing things a little bit differently this year. If you have any questions, I think we're coming up on the end, but if you have any questions still that you want us to answer, please feel free to put your questions in the chat on YouTube so that we can answer them, because this is a really good opportunity to get us to answer live while you have us here. Please feel free to put any questions in there, or email us if that's something that you're more comfortable with. If you do have questions, we're always happy to answer.
Join our group on Facebook, tweet at us. Yeah.
If you are not following us on social media, like, follow, and subscribe. We are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We do have a mailing list, so if you're not on our mailing list, that's a really good way to make sure that you are staying on top of all the updates that we have. If you're not on our mailing email list, yes, email list, not a physical mailing list. If you're not on the email list, we do have a sign up on our website, which is console-room.com. So feel free to join us that way. And then we have console room is in January, but we have a lot of stuff happening between now and then. So to go over some of the things that you can expect from us coming forward, last year when COVID started, we started doing these Who It Yourself live events, which you are tuning into now, as a way to helps us stay connected kind of throughout the year. So it's not just this one time a year. We've been doing like a few like community things, so this kind of expanded on that a bit. So we do have more Who It Yourself live events, pieces of our Who It Yourself live event for July coming up the rest of this week. So tomorrow and Thursday and Friday, we have releases of the latest Console Room Players radio play. So it's episodes 1, 2, and 3 that are being released over the next few days. So it's a radio play version of the story Galaxy 4. So we'll have episode 1 on Wednesday, episode 2 Thursday, episode 3 on Friday, and then on Saturday we are doing a larger Who It Yourself event, which is going to have a couple panels. So we'll have the last episode of the radio play. We are doing a panel called Who It Yourself Celestial Game Makers at 7:30. That's going to be on RPGs and board games, both running and creating them. And then we're going to have a game of Doctor Who Jeopardy at 9 Central Time. There's a lot more information about the larger Who It Yourself event on our website as well, and including a news post that's going to go more into detail about the guests that we have coming in, our panelists for the game panel, more information about the radio players, all of that kind of information. So we do have all that information on the website. Make sure to tune in as we're releasing those episodes so that you're ready for the last episode on Saturday of Galaxy 4 and then going into the panels. So that's this week. And then we have a few more events coming up this fall. So those of you who have been around maybe for a bit might be familiar with us talking about the Tardis Tour or have participated in a Tardis Tour. So the Tardis Tour is something that we started 3 years ago, maybe? This might be the 4th year already. Time flies, I tell you. That's not meant to be a Doctor Who joke. So we've been doing this Tardis Tour.
Well, and remember, last year doesn't count.
Well, so this is like the 3rd year, take 2 kind of thing.
Something like that, yeah.
Something like that, yeah. So the Tardis Tour is something that we started doing in the Twin Cities area where we had been. There's actually quite a few TARDISes that are built around the area and around Minnesota, and I'm sure outside of Minnesota as well. But there are several TARDISes built here. So the Tardis Tour, we were actually physically going out to visit all of these different TARDISes, as many as we could get in a day. I know the 2nd year we actually did that, gathered in a van. And we traveled together, and it was awesome. It was a really great experience. I loved that. Last year, obviously, we did it virtually because of COVID. So we are looking at bringing back Tardis Tour for the 4th year. There's more information to come on that and how we're going to be doing that this year and what the specific dates are. But we are looking at an early fall, September, October-ish kind of date. So stay tuned for that. We also have another Who It Yourself live event between now and January that we're looking at October for. That would be kind of along the same lines of what we've been doing with Who It Yourself live events so far, but we are potentially considering a hybrid version of that too. So stay tuned for more information about that. We're going to have way more information when we get a little bit closer, but expect a few more Who It Yourself live events coming from us between now and January. One other thing where you can expect us to, in case you did have any questions or wanted to learn a little bit more about what we were doing, you will be able to find us live at Convergence also on whichever day it is, the Sunday of Convergence. We'll have a panel on Console Room.
8th, I think.
The 8th. 3, 4, 5. I think you're right. The 8th. I don't have the time in front of me either. I think it's around midday, 11 or 12, somewhere around there, maybe 1, midday-ish. I will find that information. If you're going to Convergence, we'll have a panel about Console Room. So feel free to chat with us then. We'll be talking more about Console Room then. And I think that about wraps us up. Were there any closing words, Jason, that you want to make sure that we are wrapping it up with?
Thank you to everyone who is sticking with us through these unknown times, and we're doing our best to bring you an enjoyable event. And I think we're doing a good job with that. I hope everyone agrees.
I agree.
Well, that's funny.
I hope these are fulfilling experiences for everyone, and you're having a lot of fun. If there's things that you want to see from Console Room that you haven't seen yet, or if you do have any questions, always feel free to reach out to us. You can message us on Facebook. You can email us directly. We have our emails on the website. We are always willing to listen to if you have any any ideas. If you want to lead an activity, like Jason was saying, and maybe bring that to console room, we are always open to new ideas. Again, it is so much about the community and bringing us all together and celebrating all the cool things that we all do as a community. So we are always willing to listen to that. But other than that, the only other thing I could say, I think, is in total agreement with Jason. Thank you all for everything you do in support of console room as well. We're here because of you, and in support of you, and supported through you. So this really exists because all of you have been amazing and helped support it as well. So thank you. We cannot thank you enough. I know we say that a lot. We really, really, truly mean it. That we can't thank you enough, and we appreciate the faith that you have in us in bringing you a great event every year. So we really enjoy putting that on for you. So thank you. And I think that about wraps us up.
Yeah, I think so. Thank everyone for listening tonight, and we will catch you next time.
Yeah.